Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide, coming to you live from our studios in Abuja, the nation's capital. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. Determined to find lasting solutions to the recurring acts of violence against foreign nationals, especially Nigerians in South Africa, President Muhammadu Buhari and the South African leader Cyril Ramaphosa have endorsed the establishment of an early warning mechanism aimed at nipping in the bud potential threats to such violence. Subsequently, the two leaders have directed the ministers of foreign affairs to give practical expression to the initiative as a preventive and monitoring platform. Details of this will come later. To the legislature now, the Senate has considered and approved the 2020 to 2022 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The legislators approved 2.18 million barrels of crude oil per day production and an exchange rate of 305 naira to a dollar. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Okay, well, this is one of the fastest medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper that have to be considered by the Senate. Well, just 8 days after the Senate referred this request, Mr. President, to the Senate Committee on Finance and National Planning. The committee is now done and presented its report today at plenary. Well, there are some recommendations that this committee made that were quite silent. Now we have with us the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance here. He wants to tell us more on some of the contents of that recommendations that have just presented before today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Well, there are some recommendations that were quite silent, and some of them were quite commended. Can you tell us some of the recommendations that your committee has made to the medium-term expenditure framework?
Yes, first and foremost, as you have rightly said, this is the fastest medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper that will be passing us in National Assembly. And this is in line with the promise made by the Ninth Senate that for the first time we will have a budget that will run from January to December fiscal year. And we have taken the bull by at least passing into law the foundation that will lead to eventual presentation of the budget by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in no distant future, ensuring that all loopholes that are within revenue leakage are blocked and all necessary steps is taken in the right direction at ensuring that what needs to be done to make our budget be well funded and work for average Nigeria is put to be. And for the first time, we have an agency like the Nigerian Customs Agency exceeding their revenue target as at September ending. And with 3 months yet to go, that means it will go higher than what we expected. And we have taken a cue from that by increasing their revenue target and creating some room for increasing expenditure spending and also trying to reduce deficit by 200 billion so that we can have at least a medium-term expenditure framework that will work for us as a country and that will work for us as a people and that can take Nigeria truly to the next level.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Well, the Joint Committee on Finance and National Planning also recommended that 1% of the Consolidated Revenue Fund be reserved for health development. Well, that is another recommendation that the senators here today well acknowledged and commended the committee for. Because the Senate has also assured Nigerians that before the end of this year, that the Senate will consider and pass the 2020 budget. Now with the consideration and approval of the 2020-2022 MTEP, the Senate is now set to receive and consider and subsequently approve the 2020 budget.
Thanks, Ignatius. And still staying with the MTEF, the House of Representatives has also approved the National Assembly Joint Committee report on the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for the 2020 to 2022. Among the recommendations of the Joint Committees on Finance and Appropriations considered by the House at the Committee on Supply are daily oil production output of 2.18 million barrels, $57 per barrel as crude oil benchmark, as well as an exchange rate of 305 naira to the dollar. The lawmakers in the report commended the Nigerian Customs Service for exceeding the targeted revenue for 2019 despite the global economic challenges and closure of the Nigerian borders. In the meantime, the House, following a motion on a matter of urgent public importance, has resolved that the National Assembly should take active part in marking the independence anniversary of Nigeria in view of the fact that the agitations for self-government from colonial government began from the Parliament in 1953. We will bring you more in the course of the bulletin. Still on the economy, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says Nigeria's oil sector GDP growth is projected to slow down in the year 2020 due to expected reduction in the global demand, while the non-oil GDP is projected to grow faster as a result of the federal government's diversification policies and commitments. The minister was briefing National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance on the 2020 medium-term fiscal strategy. Let's now join National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu.
In the 2020-2022 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, lower benchmark oil price of $55 per barrel is expected against the $60 per barrel in year 2019. The aggregate revenue to fund the budget is projected at 7.17 trillion naira, representing 2.4% or 170.41 billion naira, more than the 2019 budget of 6.99 trillion naira. 34.22% of the figures is projected to come from oil sources, while the balance is to be earned from non-oil sources.
Debt service is estimated to be at 2.45 trillion, and provision for sinking fund to retire maturing bonds issued to local contractors as well as local creditors is placed at 2.96 billion. A total of 3.43 trillion, which is provided for personnel costs and pensions.
The value-added tax projections over the medium-term expenditure framework are based on a rate of 7.5% through a financial and miscellaneous provisions bill, which will accompany the 2020 budget proposal to the Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The proposed increase in the VAT will not adversely affect the poor, as existing exemptions of some certain category of services.
We are determined to process and pass the budget before the end of this year by the grace of God.
Contribution of the Nigeria Customs Service to the MTF, deployment of technology to survey Nigeria's 4,070-kilometer land border areas, and the economic impact of the closure of borders were also deliberated upon.
Our job is not only collecting revenue, it's security and well-being of Nigerians. And therefore, closing the border has become necessary.
It's our duty to ensure that the nation's finances will improve significantly through blocking leakages and seeking new revenue sources.
Deliberations were also made on grants and loans funded projects by the Debt Management Office. Shortfall experienced in 2018 budget due to what the senators described as low performance of the NNPC and successes recorded on the non-oil revenue collection by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTN News.
And a report just inside, President Muhammadu Buhari will on Tuesday, October 8th, 2019, present the 2020 appropriation bill at the joint session of the National Assembly. This followed the approval of a presidential communication to that effect by the House of Representatives. House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila read the letter of the President's request at Thursday's plenary, after which the House voted its approval. Recall the House had approved the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for 2020 to 2023, during which the House approved an increase in federal government's expenditure from 10.002 trillion naira to 10.729 trillion naira. Member states of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA, have again reaffirmed their commitment to tackle transnational crimes. This is part of the resolve of participants at the ongoing GIABA stakeholders meeting in Dakar. Participants also advocated community participation in combating money laundering and terrorist financing. To confront the emerging challenges, stakeholders canvassed strategic plans to curtail the activities of criminals threatening world economy and security. The Director General of GIABA commended the member states for their efforts in conducting mutual evaluation in line with the standards of the Financial Action Task Force. He solicited improved funding for GIABA to carry out its mandate. And Nigeria is to strengthen ties with the Republic of Ireland, especially in the development of science, technology and innovation. Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, who received the Polish ambassador to Nigeria on a visit, highlights Nigeria's robust and intelligent human resources, which the country hopes to harness in its quest to transit from a commodity-based economy to knowledge and innovation-driven one.
We'll be able to add a lot of value to the enormous natural resources in the country, so that even in the area of fossil fuels, we also have coal, as we do have in Poland. We can add a lot of the value chain. Liquid oils, we need to make sure that it's not just the upstream that is developed.
In another development, the minister also inaugurated an interministerial committee on renewable energy technology tasked with purpose-driven research to diversify power generation and mitigate climate change in the country.
To have a value chain, any single commodity that we have, there must be a value chain. We have to add value to that, and it can only be possible, if there is a power to do so. But if we have solar energy, we can be very helpful, in making sure that electricity will go to our rural communities.
Ministries involved in the renewable energy and climate change mitigation project include those of science and technology, environment, power, works and housing, water resources, industry, trade and investment, as well as the Nigeria Content and Development Monitoring Board. Time now to join Hingino in our Lagos Network Center. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you, Howard. Good afternoon. Welcome to Lagos. The remarkable progress attained in the 5 years of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in all key sectors of the economy shows that the country is on the path of next level of development. This is the submission of patriotic Nigerians under the aegis of the Buharists in the celebration of good governance. Ken Egbeluge reports.
In yearning for change in the style of leadership and need to accelerate national growth, Nigerians in 2015 voted for President Muhammadu Buhari to restore the hope of reviving the nation's economy and building a national dream. The change agenda of the administration focused on security, economy, and fighting graft is the driving force for the Buharists to convert support for the administration, which believes in all-inclusive government. The policy of the federal government in regard to infrastructural development with a view to aid non-foreign direct investment is described as remarkable by the group.
What we need is a cultural change, that people need to accept the fact that stealing of government funds is not the right way for the country. And so once that message is sent out, and the president is leading by setting the moral tone.
I do travel across all Nigeria. When you see the infrastructure development going up in Nigeria, of done, then there is cause for us to celebrate.
As the country journeys through a democratic dispensation, the Buhari urged citizens to be patriotic and supportive of President Buhari's vision for Nigeria. In Lagos, Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
Now talking judicial matters, the Lagos State government is strengthening the judicial process towards protecting fundamental rights of all citizens. The governor gave the assurance when delegates from the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice paid him a courtesy visit at the Lagos State Government House Ikeja. Nusa Osla report.
The ECOWAS Community Court of Justice was created pursuant to the provisions of Articles 6 and 15 of the revised Treaty of the Economic Community of West African States. Governor Sanwo-Olu said the state government would ensure that residents are well informed on the availability of the community court to resolve disputes amongst themselves amicably.
We're hopeful that you continue to dispense justice without fear or favor, and the import and purpose for setting it up will continue to be fully realized, and people, like you said, the citizens can take the full benefits.
The President, ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, Justice Edward Ashanti, who was represented by a member of the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, Justice Dupe Atoki, said that the court was created in 1991 to settle disputes among member states.
Right now, the national courts are there, but issues that concern human rights is also available for Nigerians to take the opportunity to access that court for the redress of their rights.
The court has jurisdiction over 4 general types of disputes, namely those relating to the interpretation, application or legality of ECOWAS regulations, those that arise between ECOWAS and its employees, those relating to liability for or against ECOWAS, and those that involve a violation of human rights committed by a member state. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
And now to health. For a few days now, rumors have been rife of an alleged outbreak of a disease at the Queen's College, Lagos, said to have led to an exodus of students from the school. What exactly is the situation? Joy Ken Abakboya, who visited the school, now brings details.
One of Nigeria's foremost unity schools. A few years ago, the school was in the news for an outbreak of cholera, which allegedly left a number of students dead. This time, an unidentified illness is said to be spreading across the school, and so far, 89 students have been affected. There has been a swift response following the news of the incident by both the Lagos State Ministry of Education and Health. A statement by the Commissioner for Health disclosed that investigations have identified what appears to be an increase in upper respiratory tract infections as 89 students presented to the school's sick bay with influenza. Before my arrival at the school, some parents have started picking up their children, while a team of medical experts from the Ministry of Health had arrived and are still at the premises conducting tests on students, and when necessary, were given permission to go home for further medical analysis. Gaining access into the school premises was impossible. These parents, however, say they have nothing to worry about.
All the students is in the class reading. Nobody is sick. Everybody is sound and healthy.
Some people did not treat their children before returning them to school. It's changing of environment. There's no any epilepsy in this compound at all.
While emphasizing on the need for schools to adopt precautionary measures against diseases and illnesses, the Commissioner for Health promised to update Lagosians as assessment and investigations progress. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakboya, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. Nationwide continues after the break. Do stay with us.
A new perspective is required to change the narrative of unemployment. Industry must be brought to the classroom. Craftsmanship must evolve with technical finesse to enhance effectiveness. This is the ideal on which the first technical university, TechU Ibadan, was founded. Craftsmanship constantly redefined. New vista of hope from an emerging league of job creators is opening at TechU as our entrepreneurship program is first class. Over 400 students have been impacted with creative skills and empowered to create jobs. Full and partial scholarships are available for outstanding students. TechU has partnership with Texas Technical University, USA, which enables students enjoy a 1 year of study in Texas. Hostel accommodation is available in a serene and secure environment. To apply for admission, visit www.applications.techu.edu.ng. Get skilled, get empowered, get a TechU degree.
Let's come together as we celebrate the uniqueness of our cultural diversity, showcase our creativity and ingenuity. It's the National Festival for Arts and Culture, NAFEST 2019, in the ancient city of Benin, Edo State, the heartbeat of the nation. Our royalty, our pride. Holding 19th through 26th October 2019. Highlights will include drama, children poetry performance, essay writing competition, crafts competition, indigenous cuisine, traditional wrestling, indigenous fabrics in royal apparel, cultural quiz competition, board games, and lots more. Oh yes, it's the National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST 2019, Edo State, Nigeria, holding 19th to 26th October 2019. We are celebrating our heritage. Otumba Olusegun Unshewe, Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, announcer.
The Alumni Association of Federal School of Arts and Science, MUBI, announces its grand reunion with the theme, The Problems of Education in Nigeria's Development, which is scheduled as follows. Date, Saturday, 5th October 2019. Venue, NAF Conference Center, Kadu, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Special guest of honor, Barrister Boss Gida Mustafa, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Special lecture to be delivered by Malam Adamu Adamu, Honorable Minister of Education. Announcer, Galadima Adamu Mamza Jafia, Interim Chairman.
The new edition of TV Guide is out, exclusively taking a look at the traditional television and new media. Are they comparable or complementary? Media industry players give perspective on the trends, progress, challenges, and the way forward. Find out on this compelling edition of TV Guide. Expository interviews with stars of the team within our space. Becky Madajemo of NTA, Utibe Umore of AIT, Nifemi Oguntai of TVC, and a host of others. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also feature Iya Modina.
I'm the CEO, managing director of Iya Modina Sister Restaurant. I choose to serve. Shut up your mouth. Let me finish.
A TV drama series on NTA. Let's get to meet the characters behind Iya Modina. This edition also presents exciting features on tourism, culture, entertainment, sports, health, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendors near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Thanks for rejoining us to Education Matters Now. Government is stepping up efforts to raise a crop of teachers in the country who can compete favorably with their counterparts in any advanced society. Minister of State Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajiuba, said that these at a media briefing as part of activities lined up to mark the 2019 World Teachers' Day. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
In the recent past, teaching profession became the last resort for job seekers who jump into it just to earn a living, thereby populating the sector with unqualified teachers, consequently leading to the standard of education in the country. It was to reverse the trend that government established the Teachers Registration Council, TRCN, to regulate the practice, a decision that has led to the certification of more than 2 million teachers and the setting up of December 31st, 2019 deadline for unqualified one to do so. Now, ahead of the 2019 World Teachers' Day, the Minister of State Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajiuba, is reminding those affected that the deadline is sacrosanct.
We are therefore conscious of the fact that the quality of our teachers is directly proportional to the quality of the learners themselves. It is worthy of note that TRCN has expanded access of the PQE to education graduates of teacher training institutions across the country, tagged Professional Qualifying Examination Integrated. The ministry is systematically and fully committed to constant upgrading of the teaching standards and contents to bolster teacher quality in Nigeria.
Nigeria feels the theme, Young Teacher, the future of the profession perfectly suits the 2019 deadline for quack teachers to leave classrooms. Abdullahi Musa Slija, NTA News.
And considering the need for public and private organizations to collaborate for the development of education, parents and other stakeholders in Katsina State are making concerted efforts in the provision of infrastructural facilities to tertiary institutions in the state. Shehu Adamu reports that one of such was a donation of a 750 capacity auditorium to the Al-Kalam University, Katsina.
Quality education is goal number 4 under the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. It's said to be the key to prosperity and opens a world of opportunities and should be provided to all. To achieve this, therefore, the Katsina State government created an enabling environment for public-private partnership to thrive in the provision of qualitative education for all and at all levels. In a message to the inauguration of the 750 capacity auditorium at Al-Kalam University, Katsina, Governor Amir Bello Masari restated that provision of qualitative education in the state remains the top priority of his administration.
A typical example on the infrastructure in place by the present government include the construction of Faculty of Natural and Applied Sciences, completion of Faculty of Law, completion of perimeter fencing, construction of convocation arena, and construction of Faculty of Agriculture at Lai Minister in Malumpash local government area for the Omar Musa Adwa University.
Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Shehu Garki Adu, commended the efforts of Katsina State government towards the development of education. Chairman of the Parents and Stakeholders Forum, Lawal Balarabe, said the forum is undertaking the construction of additional 500 capacity lecture hall at a cost of over 80 million naira. The 750 capacity Lawal Kaita Auditorium is a story building which consists of the forum secretariat, 14 senior staff offices, and additional 175-seater lecture halls. In Katsina, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
And commercialization of education, inadequate funding, neglect, the need to retrain teachers and corruption have been identified as some of the challenges mitigating against the mission and vision on which unity schools were established in Nigeria. These were parts of submissions of guests on NTA's Current Affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria, while discussing unity schools and national development. Murjanatu Adam Said reports.
Over the decades, Unity Schools' objectives have become a platform for unifying the nation through education, with the admission of pupils and students alike into the schools, irrespective of tribe, religion, regional or geographical identity. The guests say non-collaborative attitude of some state and local government with the federal government to invest in education is responsible for the falling standard of unity schools.
Somebody in Enugu will be happy that the principal is Mr. Nwankwo. When my son goes there, he will have somebody he can relate with. If for nothing else, he will see somebody who dresses like his father. That money for building new government houses, that is money for education.
For you to impart knowledge into anyone, you must command their respect, and the students must love you to some extent. Now you discover education is more of money, which is not supposed to be.
I seriously believe there should be some teacher training opportunities for increase in knowledge, best practices, so that our teachers, apart from being paid well and promptly too, they should be trained to be able to impart knowledge. You can't give what you don't have.
They admitted that Nigeria's educational plan must be revisited if unity schools must be salvaged. In Abuja, Janatu Adam Said, NTA News.
To other matters now, there is a saying that one must come to equity with clean hands. This seems to be the situation as the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, invites the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, to inaugurate its Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit. Kelvin Ehonwaye reports that as a media outfit, to hold others accountable, the NTA feels it needs to purge itself of corruption as well.
Much of ICPC's work is preventing corruption in the public sector, a sector seen by many as vulnerable to corrupt practices, either in procurement process and financial management, among other functions. With a mandate of the Federal Executive Council to step up its preventive mechanism through the establishment of anti-corruption and transparency units in MDAs, the ICPC is intensifying its drive. The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, is the latest organization to have an anti-corruption and transparency unit. For the Director General of the NTA, Malam Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, the assignment is a national one for members of the committee because, as an integral part of the federal government, the NTA must show how the media can lead the way in the fight against corruption.
The media has a role to make sure that the society develops, there's growth and development in the society. The fight against corruption is just only one aspect of it. It's just an aspect. But the media is involved in every facet of our national life.
Umar Bubakar Dembo, Director Marketing, is chairman of NTA Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit. He is confident that the committee will deliver.
Just like what we were told, this is a national assignment and we're taking it as a national assignment because we all know the president has kept on saying that corruption kills the country. So we should make sure that it did not kill NTA.
Other government agencies are expected to key into this initiative. In Abuja, Kelvin Bonwaye, NTA News.
And in a related development, the Anti-Corruption Unit of the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria has expanded its reach to the agency's zonal centers in compliance with new efforts to check corruption in the country. Let's join Kolu Mohammed for details.
Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, is threatening the news to sniff out oxygen of survival in corruption. An action it says shall be ceaseless for government, its agencies, and the private sector to eradicate the menace. SMEDAN is therefore opening anti-corruption and transparency units in all its zones, and this event is the inauguration.
Corruption is a complex social, political, and economic phenomenon that adversely affects all our countries. It undermines democratic institutions, slow economic development, and contribute to government instability.
We have created awareness, we have created a consciousness that we have made people to know the issues of corruption and the benefits of not living in a corrupt society. So we have been able to raise that consciousness in staff. Our procedures are getting better. The way we do things now, generally, staff are aware. They've become aware that it is better to actually do things, to follow due process, to do most of these things.
The Zonal Anti-Corruption and Transparency Units are expected to complement the one at the headquarters in making SMEDAN a corrupt-free and transparent agency. Kolo Muhammad.
Time now to join Ogo Chukwuka in Benin for more reports on Nationwide. You're on.
Thank you and good afternoon. Members of the House of Representatives at the Committee on Abandoned NDDC projects have inspected such projects in Edo State to get first-hand information on their condition. The two-day visit is following the motion moved on the floor of the House to carry out an investigation. Ivio Mori has details.
Worried by the level of abandoned projects awarded by the NDDC in the state, Governor Godwin Obaseki and members of his cabinet decided to inspect some of them in Benin with members of the House Committee. He expressed displeasure over the condition of St. Saviour and Benin Abraka Road, which the state government signed a memorandum of understanding with NDDC to complete 40% while the state takes 60% of the roads. The understanding and agreements, he says, have not been met by the Commission.
We will complete it. We'll make the sacrifice. We'll complete the project.
The proposed NDDC Regional Office and NDDC Industrial Park are some of the projects the committee visited. On why the projects were not executed, the contractor says he has not been mobilized since 20 2012. A substation at Oriomon local government area of the state, as well as a transmission line that will power over 400 villages in Oriomon, is another project by the NDDC yet to be completed. On site are blocks, but work yet to begin. Consultants of the project say they were mobilized by 15%, but funds have not been assessed since 2012.
We're going to do a report. All previous managing directors of NDDC are expected to meet with this committee.
We have decided to look at most of these projects on a case-by-case basis.
And in Esan West local government area of the state, it was interaction between the committee members and residents of the area as informed the lawmakers of their plight at Urori Road, Ekpoma, which was awarded in 2012 and still not in good shape. A 696 capacity students hostel building at Abraham Ali University, Ekpoma, which was awarded in 2004, was also inspected. Ivie Oyi, NTA News.
35 naval engineers have graduated from the Nigerian Naval Engineering College, Sapele, with a charge on them to use the skills acquired for the benefits of the nation. Leopolo reports.
The officer's application course at the Nigerian Naval College is designed to give graduate engineer officers professional and practical training necessary for the operation and maintenance of naval systems deployed both on board and ashore.
Course have both practical and theoretical components and included industrial visits of sea training.
Scrolls were presented to the graduates as well as awards given to best performing officers during the training. The chairman of Sapele local government, the host community of the college, commended the Nigerian Naval College for helping to maintain peace in the community.
It has given them more experience and more exposure to do the needful when it arises.
The college has graduated 360 engineering officers and is still actively carrying out its mission to deploy a well-trained naval force that will discharge its constitutional roles in the country efficiently. In Sapele, Anli Okolo, NTA News.
And to mark the 59th independence of the country, the Nigerian Television Authority Benin Network Center put together a party to celebrate the Nigerian child. Anli Okolo reports that the children had an amazing time showcasing their acts.
From the thrilling dance steps to the colorful cultural dance exhibitions and articulate march past, it was a time of expression and fun for the children. Soon it was time for a debate competition between schools.
And if that's not enough, they sent his child on errands to go and get him on algebra. Oh my God, oh my God.
At the end of the activities, gifts were given to winners of the various competitions. In March past, Legend Preparatory School came first, while St. Mary's Dedication topped the list in cultural dance, and Covenant Christian Academy came first in the debate competition. Dignitaries admonished adults to invest time and resources in the lives of the younger generation in order to have them being better leaders.
You have to educate your children on how to abstain from drug abuse.
Believe the possibilities that the nation has, especially in the lives of the younger ones.
It is these young ones that will help us to make great value in our nation.
In the words of the children, it is an October 1st to remember.
I feel so excited right now. I had so much fun and it is a memorable day.
In Benin, Anli Okolo, NTA News.
Hawa is back to you for the continuation of the news.
Many thanks, Ogochikuka. And we now go back to our earlier story where we told you that President Muhammadu Buhari and the South African leader Cyril Ramaphosa have endorsed the establishment of an early warning mechanism aimed at nipping in the bud potential threats to such violence. Over now to Adamu Sambu.
It was a very warm and highly befitting reception for President Muhammadu Buhari by his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa as he arrived at the seat of government, otherwise referred to as the Union Building in Pretoria. Apart from a 21-gun salute, a ceremonial guard of honor was also mounted by a detachment of South African Armed Forces to formally welcome the Nigerian leader on the historic and remarkably significant invitational visit. The two leaders of the largest economies in Africa then retreated for high-level talks on issues of concern towards enhancing relations between the two countries. Most critical is the recurring acts of hostility against Nigerians and other foreign nationals in South Africa.
Mr. President, we have condemned in the strongest terms attacks against Nigerians and other African nationals living in South Africa, the looting of their shops and businesses and burning of their properties. We call for the strengthening and implementation of all the necessary measures to prevent the reoccurrence of such action which threatens to undermine not only our strong bilateral relations but also what we stand for in the context of our vision for a strong and prosperous Africa we want.
At a joint media briefing shortly after, both leaders promised to work more closely towards finding lasting solutions.
What has happened does not represent the values of the peoples of Nigeria and the values of the peoples of South Africa. And as leaders, both President Buhari and I will not tolerate them. And to make sure that we take steps moving forward, that we bring an end to these, we've agreed that early warning mechanisms will be set up so that once we see that there's restiveness in both our people's sort of sides, we will be able to inform one another, to find ways and active ways of ensuring that we do not have recurrences.
It's a question of competition at very low levels. So it means that our respective police forces and security agencies must be very alert. They must infiltrate the communities, know their thinking, and make sure they don't allow violence to escalate.
Some members of the Nigerian delegation, South Africa, described the high-level engagement as appropriate, timely, and reassuring.
Mr. President is a man of very high integrity, and he doesn't compromise, his integrity, and we have displayed it, by insisting that those who were wrongly attacked, those who were property were, illegally burnt, that the South Africa should address it. So he has acted as usual as the father of our great nation, Nigeria.
The type of confusion that is existing among the people is not tolerable, it's not acceptable. But I think with the dialogue between the two heads of governments, I think that problem, we are on the way on solving that problem.
I saw a lot of passion in all of them, in their resolve, first commitment, and also their desire to protect their people, and also not beyond, looking even beyond their country as leaders in Africa. Things that we thought were going to be issues that were going to be irreconcilable within a short time, maturity in leadership, it was diplomatically sorted out. And so we are now looking forward to implementation.
President Buhari's engagements in South Africa continue. From Pretoria, South Africa, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State is extending an olive branch to all his political opponents in the last elections to join hands with his administration in addressing prevailing challenges and taking the state to the next level. Reacting to the validation of his election by the State Governorship Elections Petition Tribunal, in an interview with correspondent Adamu Sambu in Pretoria, South Africa, the governor described the judicial decision as victory for peace and development enterprise on the plateau.
vanquished. We have a lot of issues to settle in Plateau State. We have a lot of problems. So I am calling on the opposition to come and join hands with me so that we can move the state forward. My opponent, our father, General Hussaini, should come and join hands with us. We don't have the time again. We are going to carry everybody along. The victory is to the people of Plateau State. So they're still very peaceful, and I want them to remain very, very peaceful so that we can now move the state to the next level.
So having put this one behind you, going forward, what would the people of Plateau State expect from you?
Well, I've already laid my expectations to the people of Plateau State. I've moved my 10-pillar trust to 3-pillar trust. I've moved already development plan for 5 years for the state. We are working towards an economic summit in the state, and security is very, very paramount. So these are issues that we will set. Once we have peace in Plateau State, all these issues, developments will continue to flow. So for the people of Plateau State, I look forward for our prayers for a new Plateau. And let me also use the opportunity to extend our gratitude, especially to Mr. President, for the level of support he has been giving us. This is time to join hands together and move Plateau State forward and also move the nation forward.
Still on the 2019 elections, the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal filed by Ambrose Owuru of the Hope Democratic Party challenging the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari at the 2019 presidential election. The 5-man panel of justices led by Justice Mary Odili ruled that the suit was an abuse of court process. Olabode Arewa reports.
Based his judgment on the preliminary objections of Wole Olanipekun, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, counsel to President Muhammadu Buhari, and Ustaz Usman, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, counsel to INEC. They observed that Ambrose Owuru's counsel had filed 2 separate notices of appeal on the Presidential Election Petition Court judgment of 22nd of August 2019, which dismissed Owuru's petition against the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari. Counsel to Ambrose Owuru, Isaac Udoka, told the Apex Court that what was placed before the court were not 2 notices of appeal, but a single appeal and an addendum, which raised 18 issues for determination. The Apex Court found it curious that Ambrose Owuru's counsel failed to observe Section 4 of the Supreme Court rules on the procedures of filing appeals, and subsequently dismissed Owuru's appeal for being frivolous.
The judgment of the lower court, that is the petition tribunal at the Court of Appeal, has been affirmed.
That's what the court said, and we thank Almighty God. The Supreme Court, that is the last court, has struck it out.
The Apex Court took into cognizance a recent Court of Appeal judgment on the internal disputes within the Hope Democratic Party. No costs were awarded to the respondents by the Apex Courts. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
The leadership of organized labor is seeking urgent intervention on the stalled negotiation of consequential adjustment of salaries arising from the new national minimum wage of 30,000 naira to avert industrial crisis. The leadership of labor, after receiving the report from the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council, representing workers in the ongoing negotiation with the government, threatened to embark on an industrial action. A statement jointly signed by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the trade union says they cannot guarantee industrial peace and harmony in the country if workers' demands are not met at the close of work on Wednesday, the 16th of October 2019. Labour is demanding the reconvening of the meeting of the committee. Security now, the commitment and capacity of the Nigerian police to dominate the public space and deny criminals the liberty to manifest their crimes has been boosted. Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu, while addressing senior police officers during a conference in Abuja, wants the force to demonstrate competence by bringing crime to the barest minimum within a short period. Francis Fong reports.
Between August 2019 to date, a total of 1,151 high-profile criminal suspects have been arrested across the Federation. This includes 470 armed robbery suspects, 216 kidnap suspects, 335 suspected cultists, and 130 murder suspects. The police also recovered 228 firearms of various description and caliber, while 231 kidnapped victims were safely rescued and reunited with their families. This, the Inspector General of Police says, the tempo must be sustained.
The Nigeria Police under this management will not only continually employ strategies that are potent enough to deal with the emerging trends of crime, we are determined to attain this mandate within the dictates of rule of law, uncompromising respect for human rights, and best global policing practices. I encourage you all not to relent, but to roll out your sleeves and renew vigors in the fight against crime in the country.
On the Kogi Bayelsa governorship elections, Mohamed Adamu assures of the police determination to work with the Independent National Electoral Commission in creating conducive and enabling environments that will guarantee the peaceful conduct of the elections.
Politics is a game and it should be driven by service orientation, patriotism, and overriding national security interests. All political actors and stakeholders are accordingly admonished to play the political game in accordance with the law and democratic norms.
The Inspector General of Police also launched the review of the Force Order 237. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
And sports update is next after these messages.
In the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
The NTA TV Annual Expo is here again. This time, it's the 13th edition with the theme Promoting Unity and Innovations in Youths as Agents of Change through Science and Arts. It promises to be captivating as youths across the nation showcase their unique skills and innovations in science and arts, make new brands, and showcase their rich cultural heritage. Join us at the NTA Headquarters Arena, Area 11, Garki, Abuja from Sunday 20th October to Thursday 24th October 2019. For more information, participation, and sponsorship, please call these numbers. NTA ETV, promoting learning.
These days, people gather news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You can follow on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Sports now. Nigeria's Women's Football League promotion and relegation playoffs end in Abuja. Here's Ayodiji with details on sports update.
And Dream Stars Ladies Football Clubs retain their slot in the Nigeria Women's Premier Football League after victories in the promotion and relegation playoffs tournament